Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other host, Shorty, and today we're going to AWA Studios, which I visit on occasion because they put up some great stuff. And it's The Fourth Man, a crime fiction story kind of loosely inspired by some true crime events, but also inspired by the writer's hometown and set in the early 90s. All very, very good indeed. The creative team is one that kind of jarred with me a little bit because I really, really like Mike Deodato Jr.'s artwork. I think he's absolutely exceptional. He's got a very cool, scratchy, down-to-earth style that is also weirdly photorealistic in places. He uses like a kind of granular nature to his art, which I really, really like, and the coloring even like totally adds to that. We're going to talk more about the artwork later because we start by talking about the writing. Because the writer, I've forgotten his first name, Jeff, I want to say, but I'm going to double check it just in case. Yeah, Jeff McComsey wrote. I'm totally blanking here. Grendel, Kentucky. God, that was embarrassing. And it was another one from AWA Studios, which I put down because it was basically a Grendel retelling in a vaguely modern thing with a biker gang. That, for me, is just something that sounds absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately, I found it disappointing. And this is nothing to do with Jeff McComsey's writing. It's down to the fact that it was coming out of a period where there was major problems with international shipping. And I think the fourth issue had come out in the States before we got issues 2 and 3, which both arrived in the same week, and then the week after issue 4 came out. And I was so frustrated that I kind of just read them and put them on my pile and forgot about them. Nothing really stayed with me, and it's nothing to do with the writing, it's to do with distribution and how they came out. And I feel really bad because I like this comic book quite a lot. It reminds me very, very quickly of Fargo, the Coen Brothers movie and TV series spin-offs. In the fact that it's kind of an absurdist small-town crime drama where there is small-town high-stakes kind of stuff going on. And it's the similar kind of beats of somebody wants to hire a hitman, and it's going to be for probably quite a ridiculous reason, the kind of which probably could have been solved if the person trying to hire them wasn't an idiot, if they hadn't done something stupid and now trying to cover their mistake. And it's almost farcical at times how this plays out. As McComsey points out in the back matter of this issue, he says most of the time in real world, when we hear stories of people who tried to hire hitmen to kill a spouse or a business partner or whatever, it turns out who they're talking to online is a cop, because that's probably what happens like 99% of the time. But what happened if you actually did try and hire a hitman? How would one go about it? He describes it as basically looking for the right kind of person, the person who'd be desperate enough that they would do it rather than, they're pretending that they don't want to do it. And you get to meet the first man. As a framing device, I quite like this. Comic book is called The Fourth Man. The first issue is called The First Man, and it's all about this guy who's been hired. And I'm not going to get into too much details about this one because for a crime drama thing, you really want to experience it cold and clean without me telling you about it. But he's been hired to do a murder. And then stuff kind of goes wrong and it's entertaining. You get little snippets of his backstory about the fact that he has addiction issues, and he clearly is in a relationship with somebody who's worried about him, and what he's willing to do and how desperate he is, which comes out to some absolutely brilliant dialogue. The story is fantastic. It is pitched perfectly, and the pacing of it is helped in no small part by Deodato Jr. Now, as I've said before, I really like his style. He has done Not All Robots, which I've read recently and thoroughly enjoyed, and Redemption, which is some post-apocalyptic Western queer story, which was just phenomenal from start to finish. And I think I remember rightly, he also did Bad Mother, which is another crime story one. So he has got range and he can do a lot of things. And what I love for it is the fact that he can do a very good line on almost like photorealistic kind of Tim Bradstreet-esque kind of detail on stuff. And when he does things in a sci-fi, fantasy, futuristic kind of thing, I like the fact that his realism adds a lot to it. In a genuine, like, real-world story, I was a bit unsure how it would play out, but I'd forgotten what else he can do really well. For instance, he's a master of using darkness and light and shadow. He puts the POV in so many interesting places, and it makes it feel like it's a fluid thing that you're watching a scene unfold from the various angles, which are the best way to see it. Sometimes not the best way to see the detail of what's going on, but to get a sense of what's happening. And this comes about quite a lot in his page layout and how he breaks the page into panels. A while ago, I read Flash Year One, which was a very panel-heavy comic book. But there's also a lot happening in each panel. So your eye was constantly moving around quickly, trying to follow what's going on. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of emotion, and it felt like it was a fast-paced story as a result of it. This has less panels, but it does seem to break them down to places where it might not be necessary. But what that does is it tricks your brain into slowing your eyes down and looking at each individual panel as it goes on, rather than, as an example, that there as one panel, brilliant. The exact same amount of space here, broken into two, simply because it means you focus on that even though nothing happens, and then you focus on that even though nothing happens. That pacing is brilliant. He does this trick repeatedly through the comic book, and I love it. It's the kind of slow burn crime stuff that I really, really like. It's the same way I actually absolutely loved that Texas Blood for letting the story take its own time and kind of forcing the reader to go at the pace that they're setting. You can't just flip it in and see what happens. You have to admire every single bit of the storytelling craft that's going on, and I absolutely loved it. I'm a little bit over my 5 minutes, but I think it was worth it. I might come back tomorrow with a bonus one, or if not, I'll see you on Tuesday. Until then, though, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.